Latest Woj bomb in advance of a potential parting with OKC. Adrian tweets the Thunder have granted Carmelo Anthony permission to meet with prospective teams, including the Houston Rockets and the Miami Heat. Remember, Oklahoma City would need Melo's permission to include him in a trade. I want to welcome in Paul Pierce from Thomas & Mack. Paul, welcome back to The Jump. And I just wanted to get your take. We talked at the top of the show a little bit about his fit in Houston. We've also talked in the last week about why Miami might be actually a pretty good destination for him. Where would you like to see Carmelo?
I think he best fits on the Rockets because, for one, he has an opportunity to start there at the 4. Being that they lost Trevor Ariza, Mbah, Moute, there's a need for another forward, especially a guy who can knock down shots. I think that's the best fit, especially if he has championship aspirations. Now, Miami, that'll be a great fit for him also, but I don't think that puts him near championship contending if he goes there. So I definitely believe that Houston is the best place for him.
Rachel, it's just funny to me that they had to grant permission, though, when I was at the Thomas & Mack Center this weekend and saw Carmelo's business manager, Bay Frazier, sitting with Mike D'Antoni, Chris Paul, John Lucas II, and the Rockets owner during a game. I mean, this stuff is already going on without the granting of permission. I think it's just funny the way the league works sometimes.
It is amazing, and I've talked at length on this show. Yeah, exactly, about tampering rules and why we really probably just need to get rid of them in the NBA. Paul, it's interesting you talk about his fit on the Rockets. The difference between playing with Houston, which, as you point out, does have championship aspirations, and Miami, which probably knows it is not going to the NBA Finals this year, is that, look, if the Rockets get to a point where Melo isn't working out for them as a starter, they are going to be a lot more ruthless about saying, dude, get to the bench or whatever else he has to do to fit in there because they have their eye on a title, whereas a team that doesn't have NBA Finals aspirations might be a little bit more loose with where they play him. Do you see in Houston any potential for problem if Melo doesn't like the role that eventually he would settle into there?
Carmelo is a veteran. He understands where he is in his career. He's good friends with Chris Paul. And plus for Houston, it's a low-risk, high-reward because, for one, he's going to get a minimum deal. If it pans out, great. If it doesn't, they can release him. He can go somewhere else. But I think Melo is going to be a true professional. He's going to get a chance to play and get open shots on the Rockets. He doesn't have a lot of responsibility as far as handling the ball because that goes in the hands of James Harden and Chris Paul. And so I think it's worth the risk because it's not it's low risk for the Houston Rockets. And being that he has other veteran guys such as PJ Tucker, Chris Paul, I think they can deal with him a little bit better than a younger team in Miami.
And look, I do want to point out that Melo has been a true pro in terms of how he has talked about his role and talked about the teams that he's been with, even when we know he's been unhappy with that whole fiasco with the Knicks and
Yes.
Phil Jackson. Melo's the one who met the media every day and had a generally positive and professional attitude. Even though he made it clear in Oklahoma City he didn't want to come off the bench, he changed his role, his position on the court, and always had a pretty good public attitude about that. And in the locker room, they reported he had a very professional attitude. So you're right, Paul. I certainly would expect him to be and act like a pro in Houston. I'm just curious where that situation would eventually lead, but we will find out.